What's a clever way you have avoided paying for something? I separate large Amazon orders into individual no-rush orders. Then I order something with 2-day shipping 90% of the time. Amazon will throw everything into one box, so you get everything in the usual time and you get the bonus $1 reward for every no-rush item. You can avoid paying for digital items from Amazon this way. 8th grade school book fair with a buy one get one free sale. I had $20 and wanted 4 books. 2 books cost $11 each, the other 2 cost $8 each. With these sales they always make the 2 cheaper items free, so I would have ended up spending $22, which I knew I couldn't afford. So, I took the $2.11 books up and paid for them, so one of them was free. Then, I pretended to discover the $2.08 books I also wanted and paid for those. I ended up with enough left over to buy myself a cool eraser on top of it all. If you try to cancel an appointment during the time in which there's a cancellation fee, ask if you can reschedule for a later date to avoid the fee. Then once they give you the new appointment date outside of the cancellation fee required period, then ask to cancel said new appointment. Boom, roasted. Asked a teacher if I could have a broken computer. He said I could if I could fix it. Sat there and fixed it and took it home. I fly to Atlanta from SFO often. I would fly in the morning and always buy the cheaper of 2 tickets, which is a layover in Denver. The other flight is a direct route that costs on average about $100 more. When I get to the airport I always overbook the Denver flight 100% of the time and ask for volunteers to change their flight for a voucher. I volunteer, get the voucher, and they put me on the direct flight to Atlanta. I've done it a dozen times. I book through my company and save them money, and I get to keep the voucher for myself. It's win-win. Parking permits for my university were ridiculously expensive since it was in a downtown area. I'm talking like $700 a year minimum. I only had class 3 days a week, so it didn't make sense to pay for a semester-long permit. Right next to the university is a movie theater with its own parking structure. Parking is validated with the purchase of a movie ticket. This particular movie theater has a deal for university students on weekdays. $3 movie tickets if you show your student ID. So instead of parking at the university lots, I would park in the theater lots, buy a $3 ticket and then just go to class. I'd get my parking ticket validated and go home. I'd estimate I spent about $250 each year doing this. After a while, I signed up for some sort of point system the theater offered that got me an insane amount of perks, since as far as they knew, I was watching 3 movies a week at their establishment. Essentially I saved $450 a year and got multiple free movie tickets and merch out of it. Got my home air conditioning fixed for $4 at 3 AM on a Sunday. I got a call from the realtor at 7 PM on a Sunday that the house I was selling the next day at 8 AM had a broken air conditioner. I couldn't allow the sale of my house to fall through. I went to the house and tried to fix it, failed, and ended up calling a host of AC companies to see if I could get someone out there on short notice. No one would touch it without a service contract. Standard rate was 3 years at about $120 a month. In desperation I called one of them back and asked what the cancellation policy was. There was a $3,000 cancellation fee, but if you sold your house and provided proof the fee was waived. I signed up on the spot for their deluxe package with 24/7 1-hour on-call repair services. A repairman showed up 45 minutes later and fixed my AC. Closed on the sale of the house the next day and immediately sent via certified mail copies of documentation showing the house had been sold and was out of my name, along with a check for the prorated amount of my bill, around $4. I really hate that the repair companies were trying to force people into BS years-long contracts, but I think I won that one in the end. When my son was about to be born, we had to stay a while at the hospital and the parking time bill racked up really quickly. Been there for 4 to 5 days, so that was about $15-20 per day. But you only had to pay a $20 fine to get out if you lost your ticket. Let's say I played the I lost my parking ticket, I'm so sorry game. When I was a kid, I would buy a ticket for a movie starting at 11 AM, and then basically spend the whole day inside the theater watching movie after movie till midnight. A movie would end, I'd go to the bathroom, stay there till the next showtime and then just walk into the next showing. This works better during the weekdays, less theater workers to catch you. For non-rated R movies, less of a chance there'll be a doorman right at the door of the theater. And in sad theaters that don't get a ton of business and are staffed by teenagers who just don't really care. Back in the olden days before mobile phones were common, if I needed to call home I'd just call the operator from a payphone and say that I'd put a quarter in but my call didn't go through, and then they'd connect me for free. I got a library card. I then used that card to check out books, read them, and return them before the due date. In college, a student engineering society was having a meeting in Hawaii for student leadership. The professional conference it was linked with was there. My school didn't have a chapter so I made one. Got some of my friends to sign up for it to legitimize it and made myself president. They paid for me to go to Hawaii for a week, all expenses paid. I had to bluff my way through one meeting with other student leaders from the other university chapters, but after that I could do whatever I wanted. Food, transportation and my stay in a very nice resort were all paid for. Living with your parents has shown to be an effective strategy for me. I sent a letter to a friend by putting his address as the return address and not putting a stamp on it. It got to him just fine. During my first year of college I had a chemistry class that the final would only allow a scientific calculator but would not allow a graphing calculator, which I already owned for calculus. Being that I was a college student I didn't really want to shell out $25 for a scientific calculator when I already had a better calculator and would only use it for 2-3 hours during the final. So I ended up going to Walmart and realizing that the calculators would work still in the packaging, so long as I pushed hard enough through the plastic to hit the buttons. So I ended up buying it to only return it after the final was over. When I was still at school I jammed the football table with some folded paper so that the 50p piece was in the perfect position to let the balls through. Endless games, until the school's janitor unjammed it. And so started a back and forth that I won. My last jam lasted the whole of the final term till I graduated. The whole of 6th form used that table. I must cost the school a couple of grand at least. I pay my wife a salary from my company to avoid the tax on the earnings, and the higher rate of tax that I would have to pay if the money went to me. It's legal. You can't avoid being fined by police officers. Just look them dead in the eyes and say, "I'm sorry officer, I didn't know I couldn't do that." Entering competitions and contests used to be like a serious hobby and little income stream of mine. Didn't pay to see a film at the cinema in years and went regularly. The phone I'm writing this on won it. Trip to Sydney. Thanks MTV. Concerts, DVDs, CDs, magazine subscriptions, books, heaps of random stuff all for free. This is why I believe in luck being a quantifiable stat, and that I have a 0 in that category. I've been with my internet provider for like 15 years, and I have no intention of switching. But now and then their competitor in town knocks on my door and offers me a really good deal if I switch. So I call my ISP and pretend like I'm going to cancel my service and switch. They start throwing all kinds of discounts and upgrades at me. By the end of the call, I'm paying half price for better service. I don't really feel bad about this though. We're paying $160 a month for service Europeans get for $20. Paying $80 a month for a 6-month deal is still a ripoff. But oligopoly and all that. During college, at a Chick-fil-A Express, where all the items are just there to grab and pay at register, all the staff members were just talking to each other and I stood there waiting to pay, money in hand. For 2 minutes, no acknowledgement. So I turned to put the food back and then the cashiers asked if I wanted any sauce. Turning back around with food in hand and a fist at once, she gave me sauce and said, "Next in line?" I walked out of the cafeteria with free Chick-fil-A. At university, paying for parking for every class was such a hassle. I noticed that the person who checks tickets never really came around, and if they did it was at a certain predictable time. Also, if you were to get a ticket, no points were taken, just a small fine. Actually, a really small fine. They only charged something like $8. So it made mathematical sense to never pay for parking and to always pay the ticket if you got one. It was way cheaper than paying through the university tolls. One time I pre-ordered Call of Duty on Amazon just to play the demo. Once I played the demo, I called Amazon and they let me know I couldn't cancel digital good. I pre-ordered the digital version. Since I knew I wasn't going to play the game because I didn't enjoy the demo, I had to do something. So, I just waited until right before the release date, drained my account that Amazon was attached to, and they then emailed me to let me know the card didn't process and that they will be cancelling the pre-order. Take that. Thanks for watching. And don't forget to like and subscribe if you're enjoying my videos.